Everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ian is a Weirdo, and happy Gaga release album date. Words kind of got in the weird order, but you get it. Lady Gaga released an album today, and all of the gays have rejoiced. Or at least, you know, the ones who love Gaga and whatnot. But anywho, I'm very excited. I'm a big Gaga fan, so don't rain on my parade, okay? Thank you. So today I am working on a hat for a change. I took a little break from making packers. I currently have, so let's see. So I currently finished the two, and then I have two more, but I'm taking a little break because it gets boring making the same thing over and over again. But the rat pattern that I'm doing, you really have to read through every row, so it's not, you never really get to like a mindless point. So that I'm kind of shelving until I have more free time to just like sit down and just pay attention to the crochet pattern for a little bit. So what I'm doing is I'm making Bag of Days short row beanie. This is just never, my colors look like shit here. I'm sorry. I don't have good lighting here. So this is what you get. This is the Red Heart Super Saver in the color Bright Stripe. So it's the rainbow with the black in it. And I'm doing the short row beanie. If you have not seen the tutorial or how Bag a Day makes this beanie, it's very cool, and it looks great. She uses Retro Stripe, which is another colorway of the same yarn. I initially made this hat in that colorway because I always see that and I'm like, I see other people use it and it looks so good, and then I see it in store and I never get inspired. But when I saw her do it, I was like, I have to use it. It's the only, like, it's the thing that I have to do. But now I want to try it in some other colorways and see how it turns out as well. I think it's a relatively easy pattern. All you need to know how to do is chain, slip stitch, and single crochet. You do need to count quite a bit. So if that's something that you don't want to do, I would suggest not doing that pattern. But also a lot of crochet, especially when you begin, is counting. So I am working on the third panel. So when I made it last time, she makes 6 panels and then sews them all together. And it looks like that is going to be the right sizing for this one. But when I made it the first time, I did 5 panels and it fit perfectly. I had to like frog an entire one because it was just huge. So I don't know if I guys hook or something, but it was giant. So so yeah, so I had to make a slight adjustment there. I don't currently have that hat right now, or I don't currently have that hat anymore, period, because I gave it away to the person who modeled it for my Etsy, because I knew they weren't my colors, and it looked really good on her. So I was like, "Hey, do you want this hat? Because you can have it. Just model it." And she did it. So that's what was done. But I'm really excited to have it in this, bright neon rainbow that also has the black in it, because I think it'll look super, super cool. And I've always really, really loved this colorway. I think it's very cool. I did the, what's the skull? What's the skull? Not cardigan, shawl. You all know what shawl I'm talking about. It's like triangular, the skull one. I did that in this pattern. I thought it looked really cool, but when I taking pictures of it, it was really hard to get the skull to like the skulls to kind of pop out. So maybe next time I'll do a solid or a slow changing gradient. But it looked really cool in person, I thought. So whatever. Here I'm using a 5mm hook, just like she recommended in her tutorial. She said if someone had a larger head, you could move up to a 6, or if someone had a smaller head, you could move down to a 4. I think I would be really interested in how you could change your multiples and make it like any size. If you just had, I guess you'd have to be careful because you want to make sure that you get that flat top that that is kind of important for this hat. So I'm just moving through the short row method, and it's much easier than it looks like it would be, but it still has so much like visual interest, which I love. I love things like that because I love when things are easy but look hard, right? Wasn't that the ideal situation? Ooh, I got comic books. So there's this bookstore in downtown LA called The Last Bookstore, and they don't have a ton of comic books. They have like really just like a wide array of books, and they also have like artists um and different cool little shops. I got some little pins. I wanted more, but I was trying to be reasonable. So this is a freak flag. Y'all know why. Y'all know why. And then this pin says, if you have a crush on me, you have to tell me. And not because like haha, you have to tell me. It's like I am oblivious. I'm oblivious. You have to tell me these things. So I got these two little pins, and then I got some comic books. Now they didn't have a ton of. I mean, they had some DC for sure. I mean, they had some like the major um, uh, graphic novel, comic book uh, series, but they didn't have a lot of like volume 1, volume 2, volume 3. It was just kind of like all over the place. And for me, I really like to read things in order, especially if it's like a big event, like I'm in the middle of reading a big event, from the library close to where I just was, and I want to read more of that event. Um, if you've read comic books before, you know that like sometimes they'll do these big, like whole universe changing events, like Flashpoint and the Flashpoint Paradox, or the New 52, or like things like that, where it changes like the whole universe is just like flipped on its end, and it's basically kind of like how they renew all these characters. They can create new storylines for characters, things like that. Um, so I'm in the middle of an event and they don't have it, so I picked up two different well, I picked up one book from a series that I've heard about. And so this is Preacher, and it's called Proud Americans. I don't know if it's the first one, I think it might be, but I've heard really good things about Preacher, I think. So I was like, I'm gonna check this out. And I read the back and I was like, sounds cool. And then this just like really looked cool. And it's called Something is Killing the Children. So I got the first and second one of these. They're a lot smaller than the trades that I normally read. Usually, so trades are collections of smaller of this kind of individual comic books. Um, but it also looks like maybe they just wrote it as a graphic novel instead of having individual comic books. So this looked really cool, and I was like, "Oh, I want to check that out." And then the Preacher, like I said, I heard good things, so wanted to want to check that out. But they had like this whole they had this whole horror section where they had this like it looked like you stepped into it, and it literally looked like this. It didn't. I won't say like it looked like an electric chair, but it kind of looked. It invoked that vibe. But it was like made out of like pipes, and that was like the horror like section for books, which was really cool. They had a archway like up top that was built of books and was like lined with light, so you could walk through this like tunnel of light with like books all around you. They had artists and people who sold all kinds of stuff um, up in the top, and then there were all kinds of like sections, like small sections. So it was a small bookstore in like the amount of stuff that they had like per section, but they had a pretty wide breadth, and the prices were definitely not like Barnes and Noble prices, which if you've been into a Barnes and Noble, if you can find one, I've been into one pretty recently, and the prices are ridiculous, and I they're definitely not doing themselves any favor trying to compete with online retailers, but that's what the world's coming to, and I can't do anything I can't do a whole lot by myself about that. So, anywho, if you have read these comic books, let me know. Or if you know anyone who has read these comic books, please let me know. Don't spoil them for me. But they looked cool, so I just picked them out. Let me see. So, uh, the Something is killing the children is by Boom Studios. Never heard of them. And Preacher is Vertigo / DC Comics. Um, so yeah, it is, which sounds like it's probably like a Vertigo comic, and DC might have just like bought them out or something. But I have not done any research. There were a bunch of like omnibuses, or however the fuck you say that word, where it had like a whole collection of like everything about one character. And for certain characters, like I looked at the Batman one and it's like $125. And I'm like, I don't, because I think those are usually just like facts about the character, or like they pull like different comic books in. I almost got one. It was called. It was $6, so it was really cheap, and I almost got it. It was like Lovers something, and it was like Harley Quinn, uh, Poison Ivy. The art kind of was a little all over the place, which made me a little frustrated. Because comic book art is very important to me. And so it's like, okay, so like if you're gonna have like kind of crappy art all the way through, and then you're gonna put some like really beautiful art halfway through just to kind of get like a gimme to like get people to pick up your comic book. Like, why didn't you have good comic book art all the way through? I don't know. It's just kind of a pet peeve of mine, because I find that a lot of, not a lot, but there are definitely comic books that do that, and I'm just like, I, I guess I kind of understand having good cover art because that's literally what pulls people in, but like keep like some level of like artistic degree up there. Like when I was reading my Justice League books, they had a bunch of alternative art for covers and cover art from the individual comic books in the back, but you could see that there was still a really high caliber level of artwork throughout the whole comic book, or like throughout the whole series. So it didn't seem so like, what the fuck is going on? And that annoys me. But a lot of things annoy me. It's just who I am. How is everyone doing tonight? What is everyone working on? I would love to hear all about it. So I have a little bit of like update on my apartment situation. So I think last time I talked to you all, they were still trying to figure out like with me leaving my apartment kind of under duress, and that being an issue, because it looks like I just stopped paying bills. I am having to prove that I will work with collections to pay bills. Turns out the collections company that apartment complex worked with went out of business like a year after I moved, and they returned all the debt to the apartment, and now I don't know where the apartment, like where, who do I pay? Who do I set up a payment plan with? I don't know. And that is the single item keeping me from getting like approved from for this apartment. And that's very frustrating. So I'm just like, let me just fucking help me out, please. I was like, can I pay you? Can I pay you? Like, who do I gotta pay? Like, let me just work this out. Like, no, nobody wants to work it out. Apparently, they're now too good for money, and I'm like, what the fuck? So this is how it looks so far. So this is bright green, yellow, orange, pink. And so if you missed it at the beginning, this is the Bag a Day short row beanie. I am doing it in the color Bright Stripe, from Red Heart Super Saver. So there should, when Bag a Day did it, it was 6 sections, and I'm currently on the last like 4 rows of the 3rd section. When I made it the first time, I actually had a frog 1 section, so I ended up doing 5. So I'm interested to see if I did something wrong, like I had the wrong hook size or something, the first time I did it, or if for whatever reason with tension differences, that's just how it is. Um, because you do work in the back loop only, it is very, very stretchy. And so having that extra section, like it already was extra big and then it was stretchy. So it was way too big. But I wanted to take a break from Packers for just like a second, because I've just been making them nonstop for the past like 2 months, and I just feel like I need a break. I just need a break. It's nice to make something that I can make pretty much with my eyes closed at this point, but it's I'm just really tired. So I'll get back to it. I have two more to make. I have a cream colored one, and then I have a trans stripe one that I need to make. And also, if I can make it before I move and I can use the printer at the place I go to, that would be nice. Although there's always the library and I can print things out there. I know when I was younger, the library used to charge to print. It would be like 10 cents per page or something like that. So it wouldn't be like a huge financial hardship to have to pay. But it's also nice to not have to pay because I like not paying if I don't have to. I'm excited to read some comic books though. Super fucking excited to read some comic books because when I was going to the library pretty frequently here, I was putting them away. I read 5 of the series that is the event going on uh, when I was reading the Justice League books. I don't know how far back it is. Like I want to go to like a legitimate comic book shop because like I need someone who knows comic books to tell me where I am in in the timeline because like I know that there are other things around it, but then I want to figure out like am I so far back that it's not even worth doing that event because there's like 8 more events behind it or something. I don't know. So I really want someone to just help me. And then like there are some books, some of the books at Barnes and Noble, but they're missing quite a few. And then when I look online, I'm just like, oh my gosh, there's like a million books. So I'm not quite sure where the fuck I am in the DC timeline right now. And one thing about DC in particular, if you have not read DC, is that DC does this thing where, and like they were more helpful in this series than they have been in other series before, even though the beginning of this series was buck wild. Buck wild. And you're like, what the fuck is happening? But they would tell you like what like comic book they had referenced or like what trade they had referenced, which was really, really helpful because I had never seen that done before. So like My friends and I used to call it the DC hole because you would start reading a comic book being like, okay, I'm just going to read this comic book right here. And then, like, you have no idea what's going on. And you have to read like 8 comic books to figure out what the fuck they're talking about. I mean, you could continue and you could kind of piece it together, but you'd still be really confused. But you'd want to read those 8 comic books, so then you'd read the 8 comic books, and then there's more before that, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? So the DC hole. In my experience reading Marvel, which is much more limited, I will admit, it's not like that as much. Marvel tends to be like, if they want to reference an event, they just do it and they explain it and they leave it at that. And I think that that makes Marvel a lot friendlier for someone to just pick up and read and get the picture. Like you could pick up Civil War and you'd get it. Um, and that makes for better movies because you don't need to go down like this whole rabbit hole of like what the hell are they talking about and like why is this person like this and all this stuff. So it makes it easier for movies, and I've long said that's part of the reason why Marvel movies have tended to do better, even though people got tired of those too by and large. But because a lot of the characters are, I don't want to say less developed, they're just different. Everything reads different, it's portrayed different. And when I say Marvel, I also am excluding X-Men because X-Men is different. X-Men's a whole different animal than like Marvel Titan flights, like superheroes. But if you like reading comic books, let me know what you think because I'm happy to be wrong or right. I'm more happy to be right, but it's okay to be wrong. Oh my god, I just read like the some quotes from the back, some reviews from the back of Preacher. Preacher gives adult comics a welcome dose of sound and fury. Preacher reminds readers how much fun it is to watch the good guys kick some ass. Get ready. Preacher features more blood and blasphemy than any mainstream comic in memory. Entertainment Weekly. Here's hoping Preacher is simply remembered forever as a great comic. What the fuck does that mean? What does that mean? Hoping Preacher is simply remembered forever as a great comic? That's from Penn Jillette. Like, what? Okay, introduction by Penn Jillette. Why would I read a comic book called Preacher? It sounds like some sort of chick track. I don't know what that fucking means. Well, that's not a good example because I do read chick tracks. What the hell is that? There's really nothing funnier than mentally ill Jack Chick with his groovy, sexy hell panic, but you know what I mean. What the fuck is going on already? I'm so confused. If I had read this, I might have put it back, honestly. Here's how it happened. My love and I were in our friendly Las Vegas comic book shop. See, this is what sounds cool. And the proprietor, a guy like us, said something like, Hey, man, have you seen this, man? It's really the fucking most fucked up fucking thing I've fucking seen. I mean, it's Ennis and Dylan, so it's really well written, and the art is beautiful, but it's really fucked up. It's fucking great, man. I don't know what I just read. I have no idea what I just read. That's wild. Okay, well, we'll see. Also, so these comic books were left, and so these are the Dark Knights, and Dark Knight Metal, which those are um after those are following the events that I have read, so I really wanted to get it. See, this is a comic book, so this would be in a trade um, of what I want, which is Dark Knight's Metal. But like, it's metallic. I mean, like, it's so cool. But then the price of it. So this is February of 2018. So it's $4 for a comic book, which isn't actually as much as it can be, because sometimes they're really expensive. Like, they're really expensive. Like, I've seen like one for like $9. I'm like, what the fuck? So like, I want more of these. And then this is a tie-in. So what they'll often do is not only will they have the event and what happened, but they'll have different heroes or character vantage points into that event. And so here's the Hawkman found. Here's one of them. Uh, this is one of who knows how many. It's February 2018. Artwork looks beautiful though. Like, just shadow and everything looks really great. It's also metallic. So those, like, I don't like having a bunch of those because they're just a lot harder to keep up with. I like having trades and graphic novels. To me, they're just a lot easier. They're more expensive. You do have to wait longer to get through a series. However, to me, they're just and they don't hold that well. Like, yeah, they don't hold value. Whereas you have the potential of comic books actually increasing in value over time, especially if you bag them and board them. But like, I haven't done that in a very fucking long time because, you know, once you realize you have a box of bagged and board comic books, I know I never open it again. So I don't know. I like my trades better because I actually reach for them. I can look at them on my I can, because they're like super thin, right? Because it's like 12 pages, right? And so they're super thin, so you can't look at a bookshelf and be like, I know what that is. Whereas this, you can read it. So I know I'm talking about stuff that nobody probably cares about, but these are the things that I really spend a lot of time thinking about. So humor me. Yeah, I really want to know what everyone else is working on around these YouTube streets, because it always makes me happy to see the creativity flowing. I have been posting more in Army of Weirdos when I see stuff that inspires me, which I know that I did not post for a long time, mostly because I was in treatment and really could not. I really could not post in it. But I saw this one thing that was like basically a circle, like fan. It was like basically like a loom on a stick, like a circle loom on a stick, embroidery loom on a stick, and people had made like mandalas and like crocheted mandalas in there and were using them as fans. And I was like, that's fucking brilliant, and it looks cool, and it looks amazing. Like, I love that. So I'm like, is that what I want to do next? It feels like a very specific thing to buy to find out I don't like it. And it also, I think they were in like a 50 pack or something. And I don't want to pay to find out that I don't like it. So let me see. Give me your phone. Oh, it's right here. Army of Weirdos. Okay, so they're not looms, they're like flowers or something. Hold, please. That's fucking cool, right? It's trying to find. Oh, so there's a box with things in it. It's called a fruit fan. So you could buy the box with everything to make one with for $23. That's not great. It's not bad either, especially with like getting the yarn and stuff like that. And if you don't know if you want to make more, I wonder if you could just buy the thing. Oh, and it has like a weird fan base. Why the fuck would I need that? Bamboo frame. No. I'm gonna see what I can find on the internet. Wait. Bamboo open fan frame. So there's a lot of other things. I feel like there's like a way to search the word that I'm looking for, but I don't know what that would be. If anyone has any ideas, I'm open to suggestions. Okay, interesting. So here are some already made ones that are like $367. But they have like a stick through the back. I don't know if you can see it, kind of stick through the back. wonder if there's embroidery hoops with sticks. No, I just feel like I'm just making up random shit right now. Okay, so maybe not. Maybe bamboo hoop. Because I don't really want like the closure of that. But I feel like the thing is, like, if you had like a bamboo hoop and you just glued a stick to it or something, if you're using it as a fan, you're gonna snap that motherfucker off, right? Like, that's what I think. I know I would. Because if I'm fanning, it's because I'm hot as hell. So you better believe I'm putting in the work. So I think having the stick up through the back of it makes sense. But how you would crochet that in, I don't know. If only there was someone who was smarter and better at crochet on here to figure this out. Yeah, I'm looking at you because if you're on here, like, you're undoubtedly better at this kind of stuff. So we gotta figure this out, y'all. But I just like, I mean, I like the idea of like trying it once, seeing if I like it. $23, not cheap. Definitely like you would not be able to sell. I mean, you probably actually would be able to sell, but the time it would take, yeah, I don't know. I just don't feel good about that. I'm gonna look around. If anyone else cares to look around, feel free to do so because it's your life. You can do whatever you want. I hope you have a great night, and I'll talk to you later.